Throughout my whole life, I always thought I should never sing because I was never good and all that. I'm the first terrible critic of myself. But I've really never said I will not be singing again. I said that to myself 10,000 times. But I really never officially declared that I would not sing anymore. I had created some bad habits. As a matter of fact, I think that on the whole I have improved. I had acquired a sort of a, as they called it, a wobble on the high notes, which is a pulsation, and I managed to improve that. Now, during the concerts, I will improve even more the whole status of the voice, because there's nothing like the stage that can make you work properly.
I can understand why emotionally she needed the tour. She had not sung since 1965. Her last performance was at Covent Garden as Tosca. And she longed to feel that she was still loved, that she was still respected. And Giuseppe Di Stefano needed also that tour, I believe. And it was not really, it would never have happened without him, because she simply did not have the confidence to do it on her own. It was an artistic disaster. Nobody can claim otherwise. The first concert that was meant to be given at the festival hall was cancelled.
Well, you're implying that she was frightened and that Mr. Di Stefano
of course she was frightened.
Persuaded her almost against her will. On the question of the artistic value of the tour, let me quote one English critic who described Callas' voice as a strained horse shadow of her former voice. His reaction was to he's a member of the public. He's a member of the public.
She never was so beautiful. The public was enthusiastic.
But what was
she
her
made
voice
a lot
like?
of money when she still didn't have the boat, the ship, the cargo, making money.
Did you see her
She was happy,
face?
but I didn't do all this.
Did you see her face during that interview when she was trying to prove that she was improving? Her face was in such pain because she knew.
Did you not think that she was in distress during the tour, that she was unhappy with her musical performance? So that's really the essence of it, isn't it?
But it's a tragedy.
Was she happy to be back? That's the point, isn't it?
Of course she was happy.
So I have all
Mr.
these
Rihanna,
letters
I
here.
got letters. This letter is the most beautiful thing because she's what better after having everything in opera and in the social life to be back to singing. And I said, last night I could not sleep. Wait a minute. I could not sleep. And he said, finally I had the courage to listen to the tape of last night. Boy, what a progress. I'm so happy.
I don't read the criticisms because, you see, I know exactly what I do before anybody tells me. So I don't want to read them and this way disturb my peace of mind and my nerves. So I feel that if I don't read criticisms, it's better. Naturally, the voice is not what it used to be 20 years ago. Nobody pretends that. It's natural. The audience knows that. I know it. They can't just applaud the legend if you don't give them something to... And after all, what is the legend? The public made me. What is a legend? I think I'm a very human being. If I wasn't human, I probably would have sung better.
She did see herself as Maria, and there was this other being that was Callas. And she talked about Callas as La Callas. She spoke of this other part of herself. And there was Maria, who was a very charming, sometimes difficult, sometimes infuriating, sometimes coy, lovable, wonderful friend. And then there was Callas, who was the woman who was on stage, who was the artist. And I remember, for instance, her listening to records, her own voice, when we were in Greece on an island, and she, at the end of the record, she looked very sad, very pensive, and she said, Callas will never sing that way again.
À la fin de sa vie, elle se renfermait de plus en plus sur elle-même.
At the end of her life, she became more and more of a recluse. Many of her friends deserted her, and those who did not kept their distance. It also became increasingly difficult to see her. You'd have to phone 5 times before you got through. Her maid would say, Madame is in the bath, or Madame is at the hairdresser's, or Madame is having a manicure. And even when you got her at the 5th attempt, it would then prove difficult to find a time that suited both of us. So, eventually, I'm afraid one just didn't bother.
And I know one evening I had to leave her after about an hour, so I was going to hear something at the Paris Opera. But Maria said, you can't go. So I said, look, I'm terribly sorry, but I promised one or two that I will go. Well, who's singing? So I told her, I said, well, don't waste your time going to listen to those. And who's going to go? Well, I mean, that's even more of a waste of time. And she was determined to try and prevent me from getting out of the flat. And she wanted me to stay and talk and have supper with her, and just talk to her. And you see, this loneliness was really quite terrifying.
Maria Callas, through her life, showed that you can be the most successful person in your field. But still, the most important thing is love, passion. So every woman who is a passionate woman feels sympathy for this for Maria Callas, because they realize that there's all this success means very little. The most important thing is love. After such immense success, she was crying. She said, I was horrible, I was no good. The kind of artist who was never happy. People like this, they cannot hope and they suffer. Then they don't want to show it, and they take pills. These pills were damaging the brain. She was taking 3 pills, then later she forgot she took 3 pills, and she took another 3. She was falling on the floor like a... She didn't want to fight anymore. She was going to taking these sleeping pills and waiting for death. First word, when I met in 72, she said, caro Pippo, ogni giorno, per fortuna, un giorno di meno. Every day, thank God, is one day less.